Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you in part by Mays Sandwich Shop, serving delicious hometown favorites to the West Lawn community since 1947. You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, bringing you the latest news and commentary on baseball.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out! The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball!
Hockey.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Flyers are going to win the Stanley Cup! The Flyers win the Stanley Cup!
College football.
The Big Ten championship lies on a measurement.
Did he get it? No! He didn't get it! Penn State holds!
They brought back the fun, they brought back the excitement, and now they've brought back a Big Ten championship. The Penn State Nittany Lions are Big Ten champions.
And the NFL.
He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl! Brady has his fifth! What a comeback!
Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 234th episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Mays, and sitting next to me, my co-host, Justin Raffoff.
Yeah, it's good to be back. You know, we had the week off. I think last week we had off, right?
Yeah, it was Memorial Day weekend, had a lot of stuff going on, had some family visiting, had some events to take care of. A lot of fun, beautiful beginning to the weekend. You know, the end of last week, Friday, Saturday was nice, and then kind of trailed off a little bit. It got very rainy for Memorial Day.
Yeah.
But it was still relaxing, still was fun with friends and family. We took the week off, but here we are again. And we teased tonight's topic a few weeks ago. You actually had sent it to me.
Yeah.
I posted to the page. About two and a half weeks ago, a viral sports post was making the rounds, at least on Facebook, asking people to post their favorite athletes from a wide variety of sports topics. And it just seemed like something so perfect for us to do on the show. So we're going to answer that tonight, and we encourage you to send us your list. We got a few responses a few weeks back. We posted it on May 20th, and we'll read the few that we received. And if you have some to add, feel free to email us, text us, tweet us, comment on the Facebook page. We're having a little bit of trouble with the connectivity here, the Comcast internet. Not up to standards tonight, so if we don't see your comment on the video, I apologize for that already. Just wanted to throw that out there. Because it's been a tumultuous first 5 minutes or so. We started late and whatnot, so... But let's get started because we already have a comment here. Yeah. This one from your mom. We got an answer from Adam, who, by the way, congratulations to him.
Yeah.
Our basketball analyst welcomed his daughter, his second child, into the world just a few days ago. So congratulations to the Filers.
Yeah, congratulations.
And we have a comment from one of your college roommates, Mark. He got in on the action. Yeah. He wanted to let us know who he answered for the variety of sport topic out there. You know, this is favorite athletes, favorite players, essentially. And
oh god,
we'll see that. I mean,
this is a fun one. It's just like a fun thing. Like when you look at it, I think it's your favorite, right? Yeah, it's favorites. So there cannot be a wrong.
Right. Yeah, it's favorite, not best.
Right. There cannot be a wrong.
This isn't going to turn out into a LeBron versus Jordan argument. Like, it's favorite. It's not best.
It probably will.
But I won't let that happen.
But it's not there. Like, unlike in the best, where I'm right, you can have your wrong opinion in this one and still hold on to that. So,
right. Well, you know what? Why don't we start with the ones that answered on our page already? Not all of them answered and that's okay. Everyone,
like,
because.
I did, but a couple of them were tough for me.
I don't know if I'll be able to, honestly. Like, I'll probably... And I haven't done this beforehand, so this is going to be off the top of my head.
So I did it an hour ago. And I'll explain... Kind of, when I need to, I'll explain the ones that I kind of felt like I needed a little bit more.
So I believe there's 13 different questions of who's your favorite blank, who's your favorite player, whatever, in this sport. And there's 13 opportunities for you to answer. And it's NFL, college football, NBA, college basketball, MLB, NHL, boxing, wrestler, MMA, tennis, college wrestling, golfer, and professional driver.
Yeah.
So that would be NASCAR, Indy, things like that.
Right, yeah.
So, before we dive into any of ours, let's go over the ones that we've just received in the last 2 weeks or so. Right. So Adam, Mark, and your mom just commented, and she answered not quite 50% of all of them. She answered 6 of the 13. Although I feel like she'd have a favorite NFL player.
Yeah, and I think I would probably I could make an educated guess as to who our favorite NFL player would be, and I'd probably go with either Johnny Unitas, like the Colts throwback, or Dan Marino. Like, if I had to pick, I'd probably think she would pick one of those two. I'm not 100% sure. Not 100% sure, but that's what I would. If I had to make a guess, I would guess it's going to be one of those two that would end up being her favorite NFL player.
Okay. Well, let's go to the 6 that she did answer. So she went with college basketball. She went with Len Bias.
Yeah, so Maryland legend. A lot of people feel
I wouldn't have been able to guess that, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So Maryland legend, going to be not the savior, but help revitalize the Celtics. Historical franchise, and obviously the tragedy that ensued there, and it kind of kept that from happening. Obviously no guarantees what his NBA career would have been like, but certainly a college basketball legend, Len Bias. And with the Maryland ties there, I don't want to say a clear choice, because there are lots of.
I mean, makes sense,
right? But it certainly makes sense. Yes.
Next up, MLB. This one, also
so this
completely
guy,
appropriate.
Right, Brooks Robinson. He came up multiple times when we were discussing MLB's best.
Mm-hmm. Third baseman.
Right. So when we were talking about third baseman, we kind of have the Mike Schmidt kind of slant. But
guilty.
Honestly, Brooks Robinson, you could argue that he's the best because I think he does have more Gold Gloves. But I think he won something like 13 in a row Gold Gloves, something absurd. But Brooks Robinson, absolutely one of the best of all time, and certainly worthy of, again, the Maryland connection, the Baltimore connection there. No surprise to see that pop up on her list.
Yes. So she answered boxing, Cassius Clay, which more famously known as Muhammad Ali. Tennis, Andre Agassi.
Yeah.
Golfer, Annika Sorenstam.
Yeah.
And professional driver, AJ Foyt. So big names there. A lot that most people, almost everyone that listens to this show, I'm sure is very familiar with all those answers.
Yeah, so my sister, when she was born, her initials are AJ. And so when she was born, they called my grandfather and they said, he's like, oh, the initials AJ, like AJ Foyt, because I believe it was the Daytona 500 that week, and not, I know it's separate, but my grandfather followed racing to some
close
degree.
To that time of year,
and so in terms of the racing was AJ Foyt, and so that kind of always stuck around there.
Yeah.
No, she was not named after AJ Foyt, but my grandfather liked that tie-in.
All right. So that was your mom's responses. Let's see if we can pull up responses from Adam and Mark, who also commented on the original post when we posted it back on May 20th. Oh, we also got one from Alex High.
Nice.
So we can tackle that one as well. So I believe Adam was the first one to answer. Let's see. Okay, I was going to say he left NFL and college football blank. That makes no sense. But there he filled it in for us.
I think he said those were really tough for him.
Okay, so he waited.
Yeah.
So NFL, he went with Peyton Manning, and like Justin said, it seems that he had some trouble narrowing it down, picking his all-time favorite. But as of right now, it is Peyton Manning, who at one time, especially when Adam and I were roommates in college, I was anti-Manning.
Oh, me
you
too.
Remember that?
Me too. Yeah, I was too. But especially, I don't know. It kind of died off as he got into the pros, but Tennessee Peyton Manning, I was not a fan.
See, I didn't really have.
I was not a fan.
I was kind of like, whatever.
And then, like, kind of as he went into the pros, I was kind of like, I was more like, whatever, and didn't really care. And then kind of got on board still fairly on his Colts days, but not.
I knew he was incredible, and, like, I didn't deny his talents. I didn't actually ever think he was overrated either. Like, I was.
Right.
It was obvious that he was, for a long period of time, the best in the NFL. But I found him very whiny. Very, like. But then, as I learned more about him, as I watched him more, as I heard him talk more, like, his preparation is second to none.
Right, exactly.
Like, he was dedicated. And sometimes those players, and usually the best of the best, and it doesn't always relate to sports, but those guys that have that type A personality, and we used to always hear when I listened to it years ago, Colin Cowherd always talked about how the best athletes were type A personalities.
Right.
They were words that I can't say on a live radio show.
Right.
But that's how they were able to accomplish so much and be at the pinnacle of their sport.
Right.
And Peyton Manning just rubbed me the wrong way. I had nothing against him at Tennessee other than he never won the big one. He left and what was it, T. Martin?
T. Martin,
came in and won. Did they win the national title?
Yeah, they won the national title the next year. Yep.
97, 98 would have been. And with the Colts at the beginning, I just like, nah, this guy not for me. And as it went on, I ended up really really liking Manning. So I have no problem with. Obviously, he's not my choice because I have a vested interest in a club in South Florida. But Peyton Manning is an obvious choice for many, I'm sure. College football, this one would be on my short list. Kerry Collins, we grew up watching him play. This was early to mid 90s. It would have been the fall of 93, 94, especially 94. He probably was for a long time, and he's going to finish second on my list probably. Kerry Collins was at the top for a long time as being my favorite college football player. And obviously it's going to be a Penn State guy because, like, there's no way for me to pick someone else. Right,
yeah, like... it would honestly be easier for me to pick another NFL player, like from a different team, than it would be for a college football player.
I agree. I completely agree.
Because honestly, in the NFL, like, I can root for someone else. Like, I can root for Peyton Manning, even though he's not playing for the Eagles. In college football, like, I can root for one team over another, but like, it's usually not because I'm rooting for Team X. It's because Team X winning would be better for Penn State. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's somewhat in the NFL, but it's less. There's no opinion stuff there. So like, now it doesn't happen often, but if the Eagles handle their business, it doesn't really matter who wins those other games. Whereas in college football, it matters a heck of a lot who wins other games because neither one of those teams probably play the team I'm rooting for in the big picture, and that's Penn State. Like, I'm watching Alabama LSU, like, I'm rooting for LSU usually, not because I'm like, oh, I really like LSU, but because I need LSU to win to be a loss for Alabama. Like, neither one's going to play Penn State that year. That's kind of how I want it to work out.
Like, Penn State's my favorite team, so it's going to be a player from that. There's no way it's going to be someone from another school, and I think the way I look at it, and I'm sure this is naive of me, and I know it's not completely true, but I still see a bit of purity in college football, which sounds crazy. But I believe that the players are still playing for the love of the game.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they're doing in high school. Like, that is when football is at its purest form. When you're playing in high school and you're literally getting nothing out of it other than pure enjoyment, representing your school, having a great time with friends, playing it for the love of the game. It gets a little bit tainted as you go to college, but it's still there. Once you get to the pros, there's plenty that are just playing for the money.
Right.
I mean, and people have come out and said that, and you usually can tell who it is. But that's why I can justify being like, well, NFL, I could see me picking someone from not on the Dolphins. It's not going to be. But I could see myself doing it. No way was I going to pick someone that wasn't a Penn Stater. So Kerry Collins, Adam's choice, great choice. He's my number 2. So we'll get to my number 1 when we do our list.
I think I know.
I'm sure you will. NBA, Michael Jordan. I'm sure for especially people our age, that's almost always going to be the choice, regardless of your affiliation. Michael Jordan is probably up there. Is he your number one? Well, you know what? We're going to do our list.
We'll get to it, yeah.
I'm guessing he's going to be on there probably with AI, though, I would think, on your short list.
It was tough.
Because of the
It's
Sixers
really
slant.
tough.
The
It's
the
really
angle
tough.
for the Sixers.
Right.
Allen Iverson's on my short list for sure. All right, Adam, college basketball. This is an easy one for him. You knew it had to be a Duke player, and Grant Hill was the guy.
Right.
Growing up, when we're younger, and we're really impressionable with those guys that we watched when we were younger. Grant Hill is an obvious choice for Adam there. MLB, this one also makes a lot of sense, too. Yep. Ken Griffey was a sensation when we were younger.
First of all, he was the star in the sport when we were little. And then you turn that into, he's a Cincinnati guy.
Right.
Adam likes the Reds. And then he ends up in Cincinnati eventually.
Yep.
So it all just kind of comes together there. You probably liked Griffey before because we all
Everyone
did, kind of.
Everyone was a huge Griffey fan.
Right. When we were kids, Griffey was the Jordan of baseball. Remember, he had his shoes. Everybody tried to mimic that left-handed swing, which Adam's left-handed. Everybody tried to mimic that swing, but it's just. Oh man, I remember when Griffey hit the warehouse in the home run derby in Baltimore. Oh my gosh, that was so cool.
So Adam makes a fairly obvious pick in NHL too. He's being a Penguins fan again. We're talking in the 90s, and Mario Lemieux.
Yeah, if you're a Penguins fan, how is Lemieux not your guy?
He's the man. He's one of the greatest ever, so that's an obvious choice. We'll speed up a little bit here because for the next 5, Adam didn't care.
Right, so that makes it easy to kind of
boxing,
skip over.
wrestling, MMA, and college wrestling. He doesn't have a choice. He did pick Andre Agassi in tennis, which already the second mention in 2 lists for the tennis player in Agassi. In golf, it was hard to pick between Tiger and Phil because he said they were so much fun to watch in their prime.
And that I absolutely agree with. In their prime,
it's
watching
those two. It's crazy to think that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, you could argue that the prime was even further.
15 years ago.
10 years ago it was still relevant.
I still yearn for Tiger against Duval. That was the time that I enjoyed.
There you go.
And also for driver for NASCAR, IndyCar, and Formula One and things like that. Adam also did not mention anyone. So we thank Adam for his responses. Get us rolling here after Justin's mom submitted hers. We move on to Mark now. He submitted hers as well. He cherry-picked 8 of the 13 categories in the NFL. He went with Jerry Rice.
No surprise there. Big Niners fan as a kid, Rizzo was. And, again, Jerry Rice, really big when we were really little. The Niners, those Niners squads were like a dynasty. So, no real surprise there.
College football, this one hurts.
Yeah, I lived through this one.
He's a Notre Dame fan,
right? I lived through this one, yeah. Notre
Brady
Dame.
Quinn.
Yeah, Brady Quinn.
Yuck. Mark, you got to do better, my man. NBA. Now, this one's funny just because of the relationship to the trust the process.
Right.
Vlade Divac.
Yeah.
Now, does he mean when he was with Sacramento? Or is,
I think he just means his entire... Yeah,
well, yeah,
yes.
when did he...
Yes.
Catch on to
then,
him?
and I think, did Vlade play in Portland at all? I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know.
But anyway,
sure.
I know Mark likes Vlade Divac so much. He named a cat after Vlade. He had a cat named Vlade, yeah. And we used to joke that it would flop everywhere because that's the joke with Vlade Divac is that he brought flopping to the NBA.
Whole new level, right?
Yeah, so when Shaq would just run him over all the time on those Sacramento teams with Mike Bibby. Remember those?
Well, that was the year Sacramento weren't they the what? No, was that the year that they were the 4 and the Lakers were the 5 or something like that?
Possibly.
And everyone they might have even been higher. I don't remember, but there's a year that everyone thought Sacramento was going to beat LA, and that they choked, and that was Divac and Bibby and then those guys. Probably Chris Webber. Was Webber on that team?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know my basketball.
Yeah.
This is 2000, 2001, 2002, somewhere in there. So end of our high school years. College basketball, Chris Thomas.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I'm not. It's a generic name, so I'm not sure where exactly to place that. And I'm sure Googling that right now won't have there won't be a lot of help. So, Mark, if you're listening, or when you listen to this, let us know, Chris Thomas, which Chris Thomas you're talking about. Baseball and hockey, we actually have repeats from Adam's list, Ken Griffey Jr. and Mario Lemieux. Wrestler, we got a wrestler answer, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah.
So we finally have that.
No surprise. Having lived with Mark, no surprise
That makes
Bret
perfect
Hart,
sense,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And golfer, Thomas Howell III.
Yes. Because it's Mark. Right? That's
Sure.
all there is. I did,
All right.
just real quick, I did get a clarification. My mom did respond. Her favorite NFL player is Dan Marino. She
Oh,
said.
okay,
So
awesome.
I was right there. I knew it had to be Unitas or
I'm surprised it's
Dan
not
Marino.
Unitas, but hey, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna argue against Dan the man. So, all right, let's check out Alex Highs now. He answered, let's see, looks like about 10 of the 13 categories in NFL. He went with a one of my all-time favorite Eagles
Yeah.
because I got an award named after him from
Yeah,
band,
there's a lot
which
here.
makes the most sense when you're talking football,
There
band
you
and
go.
football.
Yeah,
Brian Dawkins.
That's awesome.
My Brian Dawkins award, by the way, was for most interceptions by a band member. So Dawkins,
You
good choice.
probably still hold the
I
record.
think I do.
Yeah.
I'd have to check with Mr. Cooper on that one, but I think I probably
Certainly
do
in
hold-
Cooper's tenure, I would imagine you
I would
hold
think
the record.
so.
Yes.
I'm only aware of one other football player that was also in band, but now we've been out of high school a while now, so
Right,
there's
yeah.
plenty of kids that have come along, but I don't know of any that also can say they had an interception in a high school football
Right.
game while also being in band.
Right.
Anything about Dawkins? I hope he makes the Pro Football Hall of Fame because I think he deserves
He
it.
should.
I didn't think he was a first ballot.
I would have loved him to
It
be,
would've been
but like
cool.
I
Would've
understand
been
him
cool.
not being, but like I feel like he's got to be in eventually. Like
I think he makes it. I don't know
Right.
if it'll be this year.
I don't either. Like, but
The problem is once you start getting past, there's always
Right.
like that next group.
the
that
nice
are
thing is he's not a wide receiver, so sometimes
True,
they're like,
true.
oh, we can't put all the wide receivers in.
in at
you
one
know, like,
time. Yeah.
You know, he's a safety, so like, you know, I think eventually he'll get in, and he should. He absolutely should. Incredible player, and looking back on what he brought to those Eagles teams that were good, he had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
So
All right. So college football. Paul Posluszny, more recent Penn
Yep.
Stater, still in the NFL, playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars. NBA. Here's our Allen Iverson.
yeah,
Makes
AI.
a lot of sense. He was arguably at one time for a couple year period the best player in the NBA. I know there would be plenty of people to argue with me on that, but it seemed like at the time, the
Right.
change of the millennium, when you're talking 99, 2000, when the Sixers made it to the NBA Finals and stole that game from the Lakers, those years is what everyone is talking about. College basketball, another local prospect, Scotty Reynolds.
Yeah, Scotty Reynolds, Villanova.
3 years ago from Villanova. Baseball, Cole Hamels. So we get a Philly mentioned.
Yeah, I like that. I can live with that.
NHL, John
John
LeClaire.
LeClaire.
Another great choice. Our first MMA, Silva. I don't know his first name.
I
Is
don't
it-
either, but
I-
like, I know who he's talking about.
I know
but
who,
I don't,
yeah, but they go by last name. Like that's
Yeah.
everything. All the promotions last name. So yeah, I understand who he's saying. Tennis, Rafa Nadal. That's the
There
one.
you go.
We used to have a great time with my other roommate, Adam, me, my cousin Nick,
Right.
and we roomed with a man by the name of Mark, which you know Mark.
Yeah.
But for those who are listening, he roomed with us, and we had a great time because he was obsessed with Federer and Nadal. But we always told him that, what's the American tennis player that all the girls think is like so super attractive. Now I can't think
I
of his
can't
name.
think of his name
You
either,
know who
but
I'm talking
yes,
about. That.
I know.
Well, like we always said,
Andy
that-
Roddick.
Andy Roddick. We were always
Yeah.
like Andy Roddick's so much better than Federer because I think he was a Federer guy, not a Nadal guy. But like both of them, obviously incredible players. But we were always like Andy Roddick's so much better than that. Like he would 1-on-1. Oh my gosh, he'd take on clay Andy Roddick all the time, and we would change his screensaver and background to be like Andy Roddick pictures.
I remember that used to be such a thing when we were in college. Like somebody didn't lock their computer, you change the
Just take it
screensaver,
over,
change
yeah.
the background. Yeah.
You never like change put a password on or anything.
No,
you just
no,
do something
yeah.
obnoxious.
Yeah.
Changing the Andy Roddick is kind of one of the more low key things you could do, though. So college wrestling, David Taylor.
Yeah.
Now
The
I'm
man,
not
the myth, the
gonna
legend.
I'm not gonna go that direction because I didn't watch Taylor
yeah.
wrestle. I almost said
Right.
lift. I didn't watch him wrestle, so
Or
I'm gonna.
lift.
Well, yeah, I didn't watch him lift either. But obviously, I mean, he's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And golfer Alex went with Phil Mickelson. So, why don't I think we got one more? I think my dad's actually chipping in here. He's texting me. His NFL player, no surprise here, growing up a Cowboys fan, Roger Staubach.
That's a good one. I can.
Baseball,
I'm kind of glad, like, cause like Roger Staubach, I'm like, I can deal with that
No,
one.
I'm
If
sorry.
it
It says Michael Irvin.
okay, never mind. I take it all back.
No, Roger Staubach. Baseball, and I know this isn't just for namesake, Willie Mays. And he was our greatest baseball player
Hey,
of all time.
yeah,
so.
no, I'm not. I like that. I like when you can go with who it is. You know, like the.
Now, this next one's interesting. This is the hockey one,
Okay.
and it is Flyers,
Okay.
but it's not 70s era Flyers.
Yeah.
I believe, and as long as I'm reading this correctly, and his text-to-speech worked properly, he went with Jeremy Roenick.
Hey,
I'm a huge JR fan.
Oh,
I love
yes.
Roenick. I was really, really upset when they signed Forsberg and Roenick had to go because I was a big JR fan.
yeah, me too. I love
American
watching.
too. American hockey players.
I
Always
love
fun.
watching the sequence when they were playing the Maple Leafs in the
Yes.
playoffs, and
That was spring of 2004.
yeah, and they spring Kapanen. I think it was they spring Kapanen, or Kapanen was the one
Sammy
that was knocked
Kapanen was
out.
playing defense
Yeah.
and got leveled.
Yeah.
And passed it up
Yeah.
to JR, and JR top shelved
Yeah.
it. Was that over Curtis Joseph?
It may have been, yeah. But
And,
oh my gosh, like that was
that
insane.
to win the series?
I don't know if that was to win the series or if
It
that was.
might have been to force
I
like
think
the
that was to
penultimate,
put them up like
3-1
3-2 or something. Yeah,
like that, yeah.
And I think they won the next one to end it. But like I think they might have been. It might have been 2-2 or up 2-1 or something, and that made it 3-1 instead. But man, that was an incredible game.
Yeah, I remember watching that. I was finishing my freshman year at Penn State.
Because you're like, no,
Yeah,
like
and,
because Kapanen just got
Sammy
lit
Kapanen
up,
got leveled.
and then you're like, yes, like, yeah.
My mom chipped in one hockey, Eric Lindros, which I'm sure if my sister was watching, that would be.
I was
her
gonna
choice
say I
as
don't
well.
know if that is your mom or your sister sending it in, but
No, that's my mom.
either way, it's
my
the
dad's
same.
texting, my mom's commenting on Facebook. And well, let's continue. My dad here. His basketball. He doesn't.
Earl the Pearl Monroe.
Earl Monroe from the New York Knicks. I'm not familiar.
I
don't
think
know
I think he was like 70s era Knicks.
Well, it's
player.
funny for me to
when the Knicks were really good. Like the Knicks have a great history, but like
pick him because
again.
I mean he was a big Sixers fan growing up. So
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not Julius Erving.
this is probably I don't know for sure, but I feel like
Maurice
Earl
Cheeks.
Monroe was a little bit before the Sixers hit that
Okay.
stride, late 70s, early 80s.
Racing. It says Rick Mears. That's
Right,
that's
no,
a
yeah,
standard one. That's a good choice. A little bit before our time, but
Yeah.
I mean everyone knows. I mean even I, who's not a huge Lakers fan, I know who Rick Mears is. He picks Kerry Collins as the college football guy. Golf, Jack Nicklaus. Tennis, John McEnroe. College basketball, Christian Leitner.
He was there for that game too, wasn't
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
That's why he's picking it. Yeah, he's not a huge. He's like me. Like
No.
we enjoy March Madness, but
Right.
like we want Penn State to do well, but we could cheer for Villanova and
No,
Duke. We both like
yeah.
those programs.
Yeah, I get it.
And yeah, he was there for the Leitner shot.
That's awesome.
Like he was in the building watching it. He had a shirt from it, and I took it. And I have no idea where it is. Because I think in the Elite Eight that year, Xavier was in it. Because I remember Xavier
Probably.
being on that. I remember looking and be like, "Who is Xavier?" I have no idea. Because Duke, North Carolina,
Right.
But yeah, and George Foreman for boxing. So
Does he mean George Foreman, or does he mean any of his like kids who are also named George Foreman?
I think he means George Foreman the third.
The Grill.
Yeah, the Grill, the greatest boxer ever, George Foreman Grill.
I can't disagree with that. Though.
No,
But
those
no,
are. I
they're-
mean,
yeah.
I'm not familiar with Earl Monroe, but all the other ones make a lot of sense, especially knowing my dad. Yeah, those are good choices for his favorite in those sports. So why don't we get to it now? Let's we'll go back and forth. We'll start
Okay.
a category. I know you have the lists up, so why don't you?
Yeah. So
you want to start at the bottom or you want to start at the top?
why don't we start at the bottom? Just
Okay.
because some of the ones as we go up, I think, are a little more. We'll have a little more to say about them, probably.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
So, professional driver, I'm going IndyCar here, or
I am
open
too.
wheel.
I
I'm
am
going
too.
Ilio Castroneves.
Okay, yeah.
Is mine. Just might be a little bit of a front runner there, but he's had some historical wins. At Indy, that's usually the one like open wheel race that I'll watch / pay attention to. So I'll go with him. Yeah,
That's a good one.
There were a couple that I could have picked, and almost all of them were IndyCar racing. Like,
Yeah, growing up, my dad made a bigger deal about IndyCar. The Indianapolis 500 was the big race, not the Daytona.
Right.
So IndyCar was where I was going to go, and just sitting here when we were going over who's ever first one to mention driver, I was like, oh man, how am I going to pick something for that? And then I immediately started to think about 25 years ago, 25 years ago, growing up watching IndyCar, like who was I interested in? And then I remember my dad and I went to Nazareth and saw a race.
I almost went this route too.
And I was like, well, I got to go with the guys. Now, they were also very good racing, and my dad has a bunch of Indy racing cars or Indy racing memorabilia from Penske.
Right.
That's the big one around here. And at the time, they were also bright white cars with like electric orange striping, almost pink, but they were definitely orange. We built a Cub Scouts race car modeled off of them. And it was 3 drivers: Emerson Fittipaldi, Paul Tracy, who wasn't always with Penske. I'm not sure any of the guys were always with Penske, and Al Unser Jr.
There you
so
go.
I'm gonna go with Al Unser Jr.
Nice, I like
He's
that.
He's the
pick.
one I met. He's the one that
That's
we
cool.
met. He signed stuff for us. We went down to pit row. Like it was really cool to be
That's
down
awesome.
there, and I believe it was Fittipaldi who ended up winning the Nazareth race that we were at.
Okay.
But those 3, I believe at one year, I don't know if it was at Indy, but they at least once, if not a few times, finished 1, 2, 3 in the standings. They were quite the trio that
cool.
Penske had in, oh God, this would have been like early mid-90s, I'm thinking.
Yeah, probably.
So, but Castroneves raced for Penske for a bit.
Yeah, there was a bit there where he did. And that honestly was kind of what some of the tie too, because that was at the point where we had moved to this area, I believe, and so there was some of that tie-in. I love the Indy 500. It's end of May, like it. It's
just like putting a nice bow on the the spring, on the school year, whether it's like, college or high school. It just kind of is anything that signals the start
and they're
of
just
summer.
Going so fast, like it's unreal.
Do you see the crash from the one?
Yeah.
Thankfully, everyone was okay, which is crazy. If you watch it, you're like, how did they survive? Not only did they survive, there were like barely any injuries.
I think I've told this story on our show before, but Jay Leno is a huge car buff guy, and so he went the year he was going to be driving the pace car, right? And the guy's driving, and he's like, no, they're in like a Corvette or something, right? So it's got the mirrors on and everything, and he's like, you drive, I'll sit in the passenger seat, and I'll like give you some tips.
Right.
So this is like an old racer, and he's driving. He's like, closer to the wall, closer to the wall, closer to the wall, and he's like flooring it now. They're going really fast, all right, like triple digits fast, like really fast. And he said, okay. So then they switched, and the guy's like, no, this is how close to the wall. I mean, he said, you're driving, and you just hear this tick, 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 and they get out, and you see on the mirror, there were parts where the imperfections in the wall scraped the paint, not broke the mirror, but scraped the paint of the edge of the mirror,
like millimeters,
right? Millimeters from the wall, because like how cement gets the imperfection and a little part sticks out. Like that's what was just scraping the paint. It wasn't scraping the plastic. It wasn't breaking the mirror at all. And he was doing that at full speed. And he said, and this was an older guy who was just there, and he's talking to him while he's doing it. Like, yeah, this is like pointing it out. He said at that point, and this is a guy who knows cars and knows racing, all this stuff was just his mind was blown. So. Yeah, the skill that takes, a lot of people think, oh, I could drive fast, I could do that. No, you can't. Like, if you could, anybody would,
Yeah. All right, so golfer.
You know where I went here.
I'm sure I know where you went, and you know where I didn't go.
No, and I get that, yeah.
This one, honestly, it's not the hardest one on here, because when we get to, like, MMA, like, that's tough for me. Golfer, boy, like, I never, like, as much as I disliked Tiger, it didn't make me like Phil more.
Right.
Like, I just kind of was like, like, I never watched, when I watched golf, it was just to watch golf. Like I'd root for guys, but I don't know if I could ever say they were my favorite. I think the one that pops into my head just because he's ridiculous is John Daly.
Okay, yeah.
Like I just like his antics. I just find it funny, and I don't take golf too seriously, so it's like whatever. But there's plenty of guys, especially ones playing now, that I probably would be more interested in. Who is the guy? I'm not going to be able to think of his name. That won the Masters like 4 or 5 years ago.
Bubba Watson.
Yeah, Bubba Watson.
Yeah.
He's another guy that I would be like, yeah, that's who I could probably
I can see
consider.
that.
But like, I don't watch golf enough to latch on.
Right. Yeah. See, like now, like I don't necessarily root for the same person every time. I kind of am looking at it, but my favorite is definitely Tiger. Like I've got to go with that. He's the reason I ever watched any golf. Now like I played and like I'd be interested in who won, but when I watched golf, it was because of it's because of Tiger. And I was rooting for him. Like to be honest, like I was rooting for him. Like I can't really defend a lot of the decisions he has made over the last, whatever, however long you want to talk about it.
At least 8 years,
right? But like that aside, in terms of the golfing, like he's still my favorite golfer. Like,
right.
By and
honestly, like, I mean, honestly, I could say Tiger because
in reality, he made you care. He
right,
probably made you care about golf more than anyone else.
And
like if he's not there, you probably don't watch.
Right? Yeah. For a while though, like I did, like it was kind of the opposite of Peyton Manning. Like at the beginning, I really liked
went the
Tiger,
other way,
and then it went the other way. But I inadvertently, because I didn't like golf in the late '90s. What was the first year you won the Masters? Like '97.
That was '98.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something like right around the same like time frame as the Peyton Manning stuff. I watched most of that Masters the last day when he just pulled away. Won by what? Like he was like -19 or something like that.
Absurd.
Like I watched that and I was like, who is this guy? You know. But I was 12.
Right.
12, 13, whatever. So I mean, I could even say Tiger for just because I don't follow it enough to really get on there. So. Well, let's go to a place that you really enjoy. Now, we heard an answer, David Taylor for college wrestling. Is Taylor the guy for you, too?
He's not. Like, and he could be. Like, he's on the short list. This was really tough for me. And I kind of go, I really want to say Cale Sanderson, just because of now the Penn State ties. But honestly, I'm going to go with Bo Nickel.
That's who I thought you were going to pick.
So
when it wasn't David Taylor, I was like, it's got to be Nickel.
Because watching him wrestle is so much fun. Like, he is never out of it. He is never out of it. Like, in the Big Ten Championship, I think it was, when it looked like he was down. No, it wasn't then. It was at Ohio State. At the Ohio State meet or at the Iowa meet, one of those when they wrestled a bunch of prime time ones this year because they're everybody's biggest match now. But he was in the position where he's probably should be on defense, and he pins the guy like from that position, like unbelievable. So much fun to watch. I've had the privilege to watch him in person a few times. I mean, he's a beast. There's a bunch of guys like Zane Rutherford could easily make the list because he's lights out too. The benefit is to get to watch these guys at least another year.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, like these guys that we're going to mention that you mentioned, if we don't get to see them this year, most of them will still get to see 2 years in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So mine comes out, and I only started this year, so like it has to be someone on Penn State Wrestling.
We've got to go this year too. We've got to get up to one.
So it came down to 3 people because I was like, he's gonna choose Nickel. So I was like, I don't want to pick Nickel too. The first one that came to mind was Rutherford. He was the first one. Yeah. Maybe because he wrestles earlier, at least when I was watching.
I think I know where you're going, but keep going.
Rutherford was there. He was one I was considering. Nolf too, but he wasn't the 3 that I narrowed down to. So it wasn't Nickel, it wasn't Nolf. Rutherford was in there. Potential Joseph. I was like, he's got to be in there.
That's where I thought you were going.
No.
That's where I thought
But when I saw Mark Hall, what he's able to do, I was like, it's got to be Mark Hall. Mark Hall, when watching him in the championships this time, was absurd. Joseph's was pretty crazy too.
Yes,
but Mark Hall, like he was the one. He had no business. Like he was the 5, right?
They blew his red shirt. Yeah, they blew his red shirt 2/3 of the way through the season. Yeah,
and he ends up being a national champion.
And he loses his first one. Yeah. He loses his first match.
And everyone's like, "Oh man,
they shouldn't." They blew it. But I remember distinctly the TV announcer saying, "This is a national championship move. Like this is not about this dual meet. This is about winning the national championship." And Mark Hall is going to be a player. And you're like, "Oh yeah, right. This kid just lost. Like I'm sure he's great. He's great. But he just lost his first one. Like he'll get better. But he might get some points. But we'll see." He wins the national championship.
Yeah, right. So I'm a little surprised. I was thinking it was going to be Rutherford, especially because he's from Pennsylvania. But when I was like, I think I'd go with Joseph or Hall. And honestly, the tiebreaker, Vincenzo Joseph went to Central Catholic. I just can't. Like,
Well, that was a little bit of a surprise to me, but I didn't know where exactly where you're going.
I'm gonna go with Mark Hall, but honestly, these Penn State wrestlers, and you mentioned Cale Sanderson, like they're incredible to watch. Like it's absolutely amazing to see, and I hope we get to go to Cleveland to watch them in March.
Gosh.
If we don't, we're going to Pittsburgh in 2 years.
Yes.
These guys will still be wrestling, so it'll be fun. All right, tennis, and we've heard Agassi. We got a McEnroe. For me, for tennis, honestly, I would probably say Agassi.
I'm going Federer.
You're going Federer?
Yeah.
That's fine. Like, I don't have any ill will against these guys. Yeah, I actually...
Like, I liked a bunch of those other guys, but, like, I never rooted for any one of them like
Right.
I root for Federer when he's playing. Like, when he's playing, and I think it's just, I like him, you know, like, and he seems like a decent guy. Seems like a normal guy, you know, who's just really good at tennis.
Actually, I think I'll change. I like Agassi, but those I was going through the ones that have been already said. I was like, well, these are the ones like it's gonna have to be a well-known one, and the one I'm gonna change to is clearly a well-known one. But honestly, and this this slant for me that I tend to watch or enjoy some of the women's sports better.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with Serena.
Okay, and you know what?
I like Serena is just beast mode when she's out there.
Yeah.
Just killing it. And I know she's had some cold spots, but everyone does. But she's one of the greatest tennis players ever.
She's one of the greatest players ever.
Right. That's what I mean.
She is the best women's player.
Not just women, like in general.
Right. She's running away and hiding with the women's title of greatest player.
I think we talked about her on our Mother's Day special.
You can argue that she's the best tennis player ever. Like,
she certainly has enough championships under her belt, enough the Grand Slam titles. So I'll go with her. Just something different. Agassi was the one that I was thinking, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, Serena Williams,
that's cool.
dominant.
I like that.
Dominant as we've been, growing up and paying attention
absolutely.
to sports. So I think I'll go with Serena on that. This one, wrestler. Did you watch wrestling much growing up?
Are you doing MMA?
So sorry. Okay. Sorry. MMA.
MMA. I'm just going to go with Ronda Rousey just because of her dominant stretch there. I thought that was kind of cool. That's pretty much the extent of it. I don't really follow it.
Yeah.
I like the dominant nature that became, and I'm sorry she kind of lost because I wanted that to be a bigger deal.
Was that to Holly Holm?
Yeah. So I liked when that was a big deal, and now that it's not, I'm pretty much back to that zero interest level.
Yeah,
by zero interest level, I've never watched
this.
I've seen it on TV, but I've never sat and watched.
This is where we needed to invite Dallas in because Dallas said that this was his other jam. Todd is a big MMA guy too.
Right.
Rousey's on there. I wasn't that big of a Rousey fan. I'd probably go, and I honestly can't even think of his name right now. But he's it's the Irish guy.
Never mind. Oh, I know who you mean. The guy who they want to fight
Mayweather, yeah.
Yeah, I forget his name.
I can't even think of his name. That's how much I love MMA.
I'm going to go with Patrick Cummins.
Okay.
All right? He's a lesser-known guy. Former Penn State wrestler who I've actually met because he was the heavyweight there when my friend was the underclassman heavyweight there.
Yeah, I'm drawing a complete blank on the guy's name. Yeah, the guy they want to fight Mayweather, and I can't think of it for the life of me. Maybe it'll come back to me. But what about wrestling?
I went with Sting.
Okay.
For one reason and one reason only. There used to be a wrestling game on maybe Super Nintendo or Nintendo 64 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was
WrestleMania or something like that?
Yeah, I was Sting in that all the time. And his weapon of choice, I believe, was a bat.
Nice, yeah.
So
be a good weapon
that
of
was
choice.
it. I never really watched wrestling.
I didn't either. I know the names, so the big names, like the ones, first I was like, well, the Hulk, like Hulk Hogan.
Right.
And then I was like, nah. And then I was like, oh, the Undertaker. I was always big. I don't know what. I just liked the name. And he just had this. He just wore the black trench coats and the long hair. It just looked crazy. But then I was like, no, it's got to be The Rock. I'm a big fan of The Rock.
Oh, there you go. That's
Dwayne
that's a solid
Johnson.
one.
I'm going with The Rock for wrestling.
Dwayne Johnson 2020. Right?
Hey, man, I'm on board, man. I'm on board. So boxing.
Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali.
No question. Like, there are others that I like, but Ali's my favorite. And, I mean, that's kind of weird because, like, I never watched him box.
That was
but
a little
like,
bit before our time to see him.
But, I mean, it's hard to pick a boxer now. I mean, kind of like Kermit Cintron because he's from Reading.
Yeah, I mean, Mayweather, Pacquiao.
The coolest experience I had, though, was when I was in Puerto Rico. There was a big fight involving a Puerto Rican fighter at Madison Square Garden, and it was a huge deal down there. Like, Super Bowl parties up here, that's what it was like down there. Like, and it was everywhere. Like, it was really cool because I'm all about those experiences, and even though I couldn't have told you anything about the boxers going into it, like, a bunch of teachers were all at this one family's house, and they all invited us over, and it was like a big Super Bowl party for this boxing match. You know, like, it was a cool time. We had a lot of fun. So I really like getting to do that, even though, like, I don't really follow it, now nearly as much.
Mine would probably be Evander Holyfield or Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah.
Growing up that, he was a big for a while.
Yeah.
Getting like
Golden Boy.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't watch. Like,
I
don't watch it enough
I understand
to have anything. I don't like Mayweather.
I mean, I think
I
it would be.
got into the
I
Pacquiao.
still think. Look, I've been to Las Vegas one time. Like, it was cool. I don't really need to go back. Like, if I were to go back, I would like to go back when there are big sporting events. I was there on an NFL playoff weekend, and that was really cool watching the games there. I have heard that being there when there is a big fight is unlike anything in the world. Except it's really weird because, like, you can't watch the fight from any other casino. Like, because the casino that hosts
it out.
Yeah, they black it out, the other casinos. But, like, you can see the scores and things. But, like, I've just heard the town has this electric feel. Like, so, like, in terms of the experience thing, I think that would be cool. I have no real desire to go to the actual boxing match, but I think if I'm going to be there, like, to have the experience, I think that might be cool. I don't really know, but worth a shot.
Definitely. So before we move on to NHL, we had a comment on Facebook from Caleb Andrew. He picked out Major League Baseball, and he says Derek Jeter.
All right, so Derek Jeter's one where I respected him more as his career went on. Like, the further he went in, the more respect I had for him. I've never said I actually, like, rooted for Derek Jeter.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
But that's probably more of the team than like him. But
I think
I had more respect for him.
Is real,
right? As he went on, than early on. Like, early on, I couldn't stand him.
Yeah.
Like, a friend of mine in college, his background on his desktop for like 2 years was Derek Jeter writhing in pain at third base against Toronto. Like, when he like broke
tore up his
something.
knee.
Yeah, like a first game of the season or first series of the season. Yeah, that was not me, but
no.
Yeah, Derek Jeter, because he's a Yankee, especially, is a polarizing figure.
NHL.
Simone Gagne.
Yeah, he came up as a rookie for the Flyers when they made that magical run in the 99-2000 season. I remember people had Flyers fever at Central, and I remember being on that Gagne bandwagon early, and man, that was a fun ride that year. That was one of the years that I'm less like, man, we let that one get away.
Yeah.
They were up 3-1 on the Devils in the Eastern Conference Finals. I went to Game 7, watched them lose. They scored in the final few minutes, the Devils did. They lost 2-1, and that one you just hold your breath, man. You just exhale and just like, wow, like,
right. You know what
that was it.
Away
You're
there.
up 3-1, you lose 3 straight. Man, that was a tough. That was Lindros Stevens was that series. That was just like, oh man, that was a tough one. And being a kid, like, when sports is like your life, like, and the Philadelphia market hasn't done anything, and I'm there hoping to see them clinch the conference,
right? And
they lose, and I'm just like, they're never gonna win,
right? Yeah.
Spoiler, still hasn't happened.
You were right,
but at least the Phillies won. Hey, 2008
makes everything okay.
So years of Gagne, that's a good one. I mean, he would be on my list, and I have a lot of respect for those Flyers players from the 70s, and it's a bunch in the 80s too. But man, those ones in the 90s, those are the guys that I'm going to pick. Roenick, honestly, though, would be up there.
Yeah. You know what?
It's tough not to pick JR.
When we talked about the story, Sammy Kapanen, it was just,
He was always a good one,
undersized, loved him.
I'm actually surprised my dad picked Roenick because he was always a Rob Brindamore guy.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was a big one
I
in
like
the
Brindamore a lot.
mid-late 90s. People didn't like Keith Primo for a while because we gave up Brindamore to get him.
Right.
Mine, I always say for a long time, I really had an affinity for Michael Renberg.
Okay.
I'm not going to go with that, but I had to mention him because, I don't know, for some reason, maybe I thought just because he was like the unknown guy in the Legion of Doom. My mom said Lindros. I think Alex said Leclerc. I'm actually going to go with Mark Recchi.
Yeah,
I was a huge Recchi fan, so when he came back,
I'm not sure I can
stoked.
forgive him for winning elsewhere.
Boston
No, I'm
and
just kidding.
Pittsburgh.
Yes, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
It's not his
I don't.
fault.
There was just something. He was
like
with
Mark
the Flyers.
Recchi.
He got traded away, came back. I always liked Mark Recchi.
Yeah,
you know,
I like
and
Recchi.
obviously like Lindros, Leclerc, Renberg, Gagne, Desjardins. I was always a huge Desjardins fan. So I mean, honestly, I probably could name 20 plus Flyers that I was a huge fan of growing up, and some obscure ones too. Ruslan Fedotenko. He came back for a second bout too. But yeah, I'll go with Recchi. That's one of those that I think would change though, depending on what I'm feeling, what I'm wearing, what the weather's like. There's so many Flyers guys that I could pick out. Baseball.
This one was probably my hardest.
This one was easy for me, and I'm going back to '93. Darren Dalton.
Oh, okay. So
Now that's tough for me to overlook the 08 guys,
right,
because but how do I choose
So-
between Rollins, Utley, Howard, Victorino,
if-
Ruiz, Hamels, like?
if we're
Lynch.
going in the Wayback Machine, Lenny
Well-
Dykstra at the time was an awesome pick, and now I look like an idiot.
Yeah, but
But like, okay, so
Darren Dalton's had his moments.
right,
He has. I mean, he's fighting some health issues now, but he said some crazy things.
I
but
did go well. See, and then like I'm like, oh man, I've always really liked Cal Ripken Jr. But I went with, and this is really tough, but I'm gonna go with Chooch. Like,
all right, yeah.
I just really like. I really like that 08 team because they won. I don't know. I was still young enough that like I was staying up watching like all the game. Like I was doing lots of stuff there. He had some huge moments at huge points throughout that season and throughout that run that the Phillies had made. I don't know. I played catcher when I was younger. I really liked that.
Same here. Like when I was playing baseball,
I almost picked Jimmy Rollins just because he was like
he was the heart and soul of that
right,
team.
and he was like. He was the mouth. Like, he would say it, and it would get him in trouble sometimes, but he would say what needed to be said sometimes. And
it worked in his favor.
Right,
He'll be a legend in Philadelphia forever.
Yes.
Yeah, it was tough not to pick a 2008 guy, but I just rattled off 6-7 names. Like, how do I pick?
Right.
How do I pick between
Jeff
these guys?
Jenkins. No, okay.
Well, I was just thinking, I was like, I can name a whole bunch on the 08 team, and then I was like, I can name the whole 93 team, too. So... but yeah, Darren Dalton.
How
had
many
to be,
of the 2017 team can you name? I'm kidding. We don't need to get into it.
I
Even though
think,
it'd probably
honestly,
only
I
take
think
2 or 3.
more than we probably should.
Okay.
But I could probably go down the diamond and name the entire 93 team as well. So, yeah, I'll go with Dalton.
Okay.
Now, I don't really want to know if I can do that. Well, Dalton was the catcher. Kruk was first base. Morandini was second base. Kevin Stocker was the shortstop.
Yeah.
Third base was Dave Hollins. Dykstra was center field. Then outfield you had Ruben Mara Jr. was on that team too.
Yeah.
You had Jim Eisenreich, Peter Incaviglia.
Was Ricky Jordan on that team?
I don't. He may have been. That's the bench is where it's going to kill me.
Right.
But I think I completed most of that.
No. Yeah.
There is another guy that I'm thinking. I don't think it was Ricky Jordan. There's an outfielder that I'm like I should know this. But Tommy Green, Kurt Schilling, Wild Thing. So yeah, that '93 team was like my first real pro sports team that I like loved. And I remember watching the recap of the '93 season, and and just being so mad at Mitch Williams for so long.
Yeah.
But that '93, which I'm sure was a VHS at the time, that recapping that. And having Harry Callis, he did the narration of the whole thing. That's one of the things that I'll never forget. College basketball.
Okay, so here I actually need to check out my list because I kind of went a little bit here. I thought about Trajan Langdon from Duke. He was the Alaskan assassin.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Chris Webber. Going back to really probably the first time I actually cared about basketball was Fab Five.
Fab Five.
I really liked Chris Webber and the Fab
Dream
Five.
Team.
So that's something that I'm going to go with. So Chris Webber, I'll probably go with him. That's a little off the radar because like now I wouldn't necessarily be rooting for Michigan a whole lot, but like at the time, like honestly, at the time I'm not sure Penn State was even in the Big Ten, so it wasn't really a big deal.
Yeah. Mine is going to be really random because it's not a Penn Stater.
Okay.
It's not a Villanova Wildcat. It's not a Dookie.
Okay, you have caught me off guard.
Well, you know
already.
who for a long time because Penn State was no good.
Okay.
I
who
was a
is it?
huge Syracuse fan.
Oh, okay.
And I
go ahead.
Jerry McNamara.
Yes. Yeah, Jerry Mac.
Jerry with the G.
Yeah, we used
Jerry McNamara. Throwing it from downtown.
We used to call him G Money.
G Money, yeah.
In school.
Hitting threes. I would play. Yeah. This was at Zach Williams' house.
Yeah,
This is like this would have been like our senior year, or maybe back when we were home from college, my freshman year, and we would play college basketball. You got the names entered and everything. And I'd play Syracuse, and Jerry McNamara had like 70 points because I would just be launching threes.
Yes. No, I like that one. I believe he's an assistant there now too, but I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, there's others from Syracuse like Hakeem Ward.
There's a little bit of shake-up in the coaching staff there, so he might not be there right now. But I know he is.
Ever
he was
since
there.
Boeheim said some ridiculous stuff, and there's some a little bit double standards going on with the situation. I kind of fallen off in following Syracuse, but. It is what it is. So that would be my choice for college basketball. NBA.
This is tough.
See,
this is a tough one for me.
I'm gonna go with LeBron.
That's fair.
It's tough, like for me, not to pick Allen Iverson because most of this has been me growing up, and who did I like growing up? But LeBron has been more as an adult or a young adult because, well. He entered the NBA when I started college, and I've been following him since then. And it's really ratcheted up when people started hating on him, and I just went the other way. So I'll pick LeBron, but AI would be there next. I also really like Dikembe Mutombo.
Okay.
So he would probably be up there as well. There's a lot of guys, but basketball is one where it doesn't have to be a Sixers. I mean, it gives Allen Iverson a leg up. Right. But it didn't have to be a Sixer because I don't follow close enough, so I'm going to go with LeBron.
Right. I am going to go with AI. We've talked about this plenty of times on here. I am the Jordan guy over the LeBron guy. Mm-hmm. However, that being said, AI is the one I'm picking here because he honestly in our lifetime, the time the Sixers have been relevant, it's been because of AI.
Sure.
I know they had a run a couple years ago when Derrick Rose tore his ACL against them in the playoffs, and they won that, and they were 2011. Decent then. Right. But that aside, AI has been that's been it. Like, so, I know there's talk right now because the Warriors haven't lost a game in this. No, they're playing right now. They could be losing by 50 for all I know right now.
The way I thought it was going, that was not the case.
Okay, I honestly haven't seen it since it was 3-2, I think, Warriors. But anyway, when this, so the Lakers team that year, now the first round was still a best of 5, I believe, at that time. So the Lakers hadn't won 12. I think they had won 11 straight going into the final game, or the finals, and AI stole game 1, and I sent that file of AI stepping over Ty Lue. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Now, they went and lost 4 in a row after that to arguably the best of those Lakers teams in that run.
Right.
You had Kobe and Shaq both at their peak. That was an unbelievable team. And AI, I know you said you like Mutombo, and there were other guys on that team that I liked for the Sixers.
Eric Snow.
The next best player was Aaron McKee, and he was sixth man of the year. So they had a great one in Iverson, and the rest of the guys, Mutombo was at the end of his career.
Yeah.
And the only reason they traded for him was because the center they had, who I forget his name right now, but he broke his finger, and they had to trade because they needed somebody that could actually play right then. So they traded for Mutombo. Eric Snow was on that team. There were some other guys, but like AI carried those teams, and I loved it. I know he's not like the purest basketball player to ever play. Like, I know there are guys that are probably quote unquote more talented, but like I just love Iverson, and just the way he embraced Philly. Like, just I like it even more.
Well, when he came back, it was 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
Like the Swan Song.
Yeah,
People went nuts.
dude. I don't know. Have you ever been to a Sixers game?
I haven't.
Okay, so like if you're at a Sixers game, he shows up every now and then. Like he'll walk in. If he walks in, or like they put the camera on him, the place goes nuts. Why? Because he's a legend. And in my lifetime, I know this is blasphemy to people who are older than us, but I guess it's not to the way I'm going to phrase it. In our lifetime, he's the best Sixer, right? And like I will argue that he's the best Sixer of all time. Now, that's blasphemy to a lot of people, and I know, and I get it.
I'd say, I would say from like 94 on.
Right.
Like 94 to present.
Right. But like
he came in like 96 or so, something like that.
Yeah, something
I'm
like
judging
that.
by like when
and I
we
remember,
could
to be
consciously
honest,
remember.
I was mad that the Sixers didn't take Kerry Kittles. I wanted them to take Kerry Kittles.
I mean, I know Villanova,
right,
but
instead of AI. And that's why, because I liked Kerry Kittles at Villanova more than I liked
I
AI
didn't like
at Georgetown.
Most people didn't like Georgetown.
Right, especially if you're rooting for Villanova.
Right.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, but like it couldn't have worked out better for them in that regard. I mean, I guess they could have won a championship, but like in reality, he was insane. He went toe to toe with Vince Carter, who's still playing in the like Eastern Conference Finals. There, those games, like if you go back and watch highlights of that Eastern Conference Finals, oh my gosh, it was incredible. Just toe to toe, like 45 points one night. Someone scores 45 the net. Like it was incredible.
You mentioned it already when he broke Lou's ankles. Oh my god! See, and the thing is, I
wish I didn't buy him.
Tyrone Lue because he was shutting down AI at times. Like, he was the guy that the Lakers wanted to use to stop him. But that GIF that you sent the other day, I was like, yes, absolutely. Because I remember thinking, jumping off the couch screaming. I was like, oh my god.
Yes. There were socks at Dick's Sporting Goods that you could buy that had that picture of AI walking over. I wish I would have bought them because I would wear them all the time.
Yeah. All right. So that's NBA. College football. I guess I'll go first because no, I said LeBron. So I'll let you go first here.
I really thought I was going to puzz Lesney here. I thought about the older Penn State guys from when we were kids. I really was leaning
like Kajana Carter, Bobby Ingram,
Kajana Carter, or I was actually thinking of going all the way back to O.J. McDuffie.
Oh, nice.
Because that was like when I was first like conscious of it more than just saying it. But I'm actually going on the more recent end. I'm going to go with Michael Mowdy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's
just
a good one.
The intangibles. Intangibles.
Spirit there.
Yeah.
It's tough. There's a lot of guys recent. Like, I think back to the 94 team, kind of like I reminisce with the 93 Phillies team. The 94 Penn State team is high up on the list. Obviously, Kerry Collins, Kajana Carter, Bobby Ingram. I think Curtis Enos was on that team behind Carter. And, there was a lot of guys on that team. Collins comes in just second for me. My top is Paul Posluszny.
Okay, yeah, and you're right.
Linebacker.
You were there at the time.
Linebacker. My class literally played at Penn State fall of 03, 04, 05, 06. That was the 4 years Kelly and I were there. So I saw him play every single game he played at home and in some of the bowl games. Right. I was there in person to see him play. It was just incredible. I remember as a freshman when Penn State was god-awful, they were playing against, I think it was Indiana, because next year at Indiana was what propelled them, kind of kickstarted 2005, the magical year that we ended up seeing them win the Orange Bowl. So it was 2003, fall of 03 against Indiana. This guy that, Penn State was just bad after the, was it the 2001 team that you saw in the Outback Bowl where they lost to Auburn? Yeah. So, 2002.
Capital One Bowl.
2000. Oh, yeah, you're right. 2002, 2003, those 3 years just, oh, man. So, 03 playing Indiana, you barely know the names of the guys on the field because they changed. They just weren't making a name for themselves. And number 39 as a freshman picks off this pass and runs back for a touchdown. And this was Paul Posluszny. We're like, wow, yeah, freshman, wow, that's pretty cool. and then the next year just like explodes.
Blows
Now
up.
Penn State's still bad the next year, but their defense was incredible in 2004. But their offense couldn't do anything. You're just like, oh man, like this is just bad. But their defense, man, and then they had that goal line stop, which they showed all the time.
Yep.
And Postlesny leading the way in that, and just on fire. Two-time linebacker of the year, or two-time defensive player of the year, one-time linebacker of the year. How that you don't also win linebacker of the year when you're defensive player of the year is beyond me. But just watching him play, and we've met him multiple times.
That's cool.
We met him at Thon. We met him after the Ohio State game in 2005. Like, after they chased everyone off the field with mace and horses, and we're like, get out of here. Now,
For the record, they handled that much better this past year against
well,
us.
we weren't a part of that, but we ended up staying late enough because we were thinking, like, should we run on the field? And we're like, probably not, because we don't want to get kicked out of school.
Mm-hmm.
So we're walking out of the stadium when all the kids start pouring out because they're chasing after everyone with horses and mace. And we walk outside, we get separated, it's just me and Kelly, and we get to the side of the stadium where the players are coming out, and we're standing in the middle of the road. Paul Postlesny just standing there, and Kelly and I walk up to him, and we get pictures taken with him.
That's awesome.
And then Kelly and I met him at Thon again, and he took pictures with that nicest guy.
That's awesome.
He's an incredible athlete, incredible Penn Stater, incredible pro player now. 4 years in Buffalo, 4 or 5 years in Buffalo, now in Jacksonville for a while. And Paz has got to be my number one.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
All right, last one. Certainly not least, though, NFL. Our favorite topic, obviously. This one may be a shock to some, but like when you think of it, it's not. Like, I think most people are expecting me to pick either Dan Marino.
See, if you ask me and like you're talking like what's the first one that pops in my head, that's definitely what I would have said.
Right.
But thinking of it, I think I know who you're going to pick, and
I think the order.
I think I do. I don't know. I think I have.
I think you do.
Right.
I think the first one, and honestly, when I first saw this list, the first one that popped in my head was Dan Marino. And then second, what I think people would say would be Chad.
Okay, that's not
And
actually where I was going.
No
but yeah,
disrespect
yeah.
to Chad, but,
Right.
I'm going with a Dolphin here.
Right.
And if you know why I picked Paul Postlesny, I'm the obvious choice for my NFL player and someone I think is criminally underrated is my boy, the reason I wear that jersey right there, Zach Thomas.
Yeah, I knew it. Yeah.
Like,
as soon as you were like,
by
I need to think
far.
about it. Because, again, first person that pops in my head is Dan Marino.
yeah.
And then I was like, oh, well, he really likes Jason Taylor. But then I was like, you know what? I was like, and as soon as I went to Jason Taylor, I was like, no, it's Zach Thomas.
Zach
like
Thomas.
it was like an instant kind of like, boom, boom, boom. Like I knew. And then once I thought Zach Thomas, I'm like, no, that has to be it. Like that is who he's picking.
Yeah.
And I get that. That's really cool. Yeah.
Dan Marino, like, he was the guy. But then, like, as I was growing up and playing football and loving linebacker, like, Zach Thomas became... And it was a great story. He was a fifth-round draft pick out of Texas Tech. Told he was too slow and too
Hey, you know
small
what?
to play.
Pittsburgh Central Catholic, too. Cross them off the list.
True, right. Dan Marino. Sorry. Also, Pitt. Throw it in the fire. But yeah, Zach Thomas, just like, it's just a great story.
Yeah.
And he was an incredible player. And unfortunately, he played in an era where people drooled over Brian Urlacher and Ray Lewis, and Zach Thomas got overlooked despite, and I've done the math before. I'm not going to go into it. The statistics say that he was right there with those guys, but no one ever talks about him. Urlacher and Ray Lewis will be probably first ballot Hall of Famers, and Zach Thomas is still waiting. So he's my guy, easily.
Yeah, I can see that. And I kind of had a similar thing. So if I go with my first reaction was like, oh, Peyton's got to be the one I pick here. Like Peyton has probably got to be the one. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? No, it's got to be Brian Dawkins. And I'm going with Brian Dawkins.
Yeah.
So the Eagles part helped win out there. But just, we talked about it a little bit when we went over, I think it was Alex's list. Brian Dawkins was the heart and soul of that team. He's come back and is now somewhat like with the organization, or at least is close with the organization. And so like I don't know, I just love Brian Dawkins. I remember when they bring him out to honor him,
Mm-hmm.
and he's doing that demonic, like kind of like, like the animal like crawl out in his suit. Like I just love it. I love everything about it. When he was in Denver, I was rooting for Denver to win the Super Bowl so bad because I wanted him to get one.
Was that the year they lost? Was he still on that team with Manning that first year?
I'm not even sure it was when Manning was there. I think it was when Tebow was there.
Oh, yeah.
But, when
they upset the Steelers.
Right,
and crushed by the Patriots.
Right. So, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but, I was rooting for them because
I wasn't sure if
Brian
there was
Dawkins.
a year overlap there. Because I know he's been out. Obviously, he's had to be out for at least 5 years because he's up for the Hall of Fame. So, no, he wouldn't have been there, I think, when Manning was there. So, yeah, Dawkins makes sense, and he's a good one.
Yeah, I just... I have a Peyton jersey, a Colts one.
Well, if we're going by the jerseys we have, my list is pretty long.
It's only a matter of time probably till I buy a Dawkins one. So
that would be nice to get like a Mitchell and Ness throwback to the midnight green, where because when they go back to the Kelly green, then the midnight
then it'll
green,
be cool again. Yeah,
exactly.
So, I feel like nothing sums up Brian Dawkins more though than the all black uniforms that they started to wear. Just and that picture of him looking like he's an eagle about to attack. I love it.
Awesome. So this was a lot of fun.
That was
fun.
That
wraps up the viral social media posts about your favorite athletes or sports stars in 13 different categories. We covered them all, some better than others. Obviously, we like certain aspects of the sporting world more than other areas. Football, college, and pro obviously going to be at the top, but good discussion for hockey and the like. So we hope everyone enjoyed that. I saw another one going around. I was like, oh, we should do this. But crazy to think about it, because of the way it'll work out, we have to start our football preview soon.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll be next Sunday. I have to make sure we got to check our schedules and see how it's going to work out. But if we're going to do one division per week, if we don't start next Sunday, it'll probably be the Sunday after.
Okay. Yeah, because the schedule's about to get crazy.
Right.
Too, so we'll
about
talk
to get
about
really
that.
crazy. So if Justin's not here with me, I'm going to keep doing shows unless I'm out of town or on vacation or something.
I'll give my input.
And
we'll
make
sure
sure
at least put me on the record.
We will get him on the record for his division prediction if he's not able to join us for an episode or two because how hectic the summer can be with travel and whatnot. But we will be back next week, as far as I'm aware. I don't know what we're talking about. It could be our first NFL preview. If it is, it'll be the NFC West. That's where we'll start. That's where we always start. And if it's not, we'll come up with a topic. Maybe we can find a guest to come in. We'll see how that pans out. So next Sunday, June 11th, tune back in jmnjrradio.com or facebook.com on the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show page for our live show at 8:30 p.m. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at jmnjr_radio, at Joe Mays and J-Raff, at jmflyer1454, and at Mr_Raffoff. Shout-outs. Do you have anything to say?
Congrats to the Wilson class of 2017.
Yep.
Graduated earlier today.
And we mentioned congratulations to Adam and his wife Kim on the birth of their baby girl. And happy birthday to Brent, just celebrating a birthday recently. And I'm sure we're missing something, and someone will get upset that we didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But it's not in front of me, so...
Sorry.
I remember Brent, so happy birthday belated to Brent. Well, thanks for joining us. This wraps up the 234th episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show.
We hope you tune in every Sunday for our take on sports. Until next time, I'm J-Raff.
And I'm Joe Mays. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. Tune in every Sunday for the latest sports discussions from Joe and Justin. Each episode is available live
On Facebook Live.
and can be downloaded or streamed on iTunes and SoundCloud. You can interact with Joe and Justin on Facebook and Twitter, and stay up to date with the guys at joemaysandjraff.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is part of the JMNJR Radio Network. For more info, visit jmnjrradio.com.